welcome to another Lawn Fawn video. Today we are so excited because we have a very special surprise for you. We are going to be talking about our special birthday mice event. And what is this event, you ask? Well, we have partnered with our incredible independent brick-and-mortar stores to bring you a really cool free gift with purchase with a brand new exclusive stamp set called Birthday Mice. Here at Lawn Fawn, we love our independent brick-and-mortar stores, and we are so thrilled to be working with them on this super fun event. In the description below, we are going to have a link to all the info that you need so that you can find the store closest to you, visit them, get to know them, enjoy their incredible stores, and also when you're there, make sure to say hi from us too. So today we're going to take a look at this stamp set and learn a little bit more about it. So this is the Birthday Mice stamp set that will be the free gift with purchase item at participating independent brick-and-mortar stores. But the other really cool thing is that the stores will have the coordinating die and coordinating coloring stencils for purchase if you would like it. So I love that you can get the coordinating die and coordinating coloring stencils for this gift with purchase right then and there. That is oh so awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and check out this super cute set. First, we're going to take a look at the stamp set, and it has the most adorable little mice. We have our little yay mouse here with a party hat. This cute little mouse is holding a birthday cake, and then this one hanging on the balloon is just adorable. We also have some cute confetti that you could stamp around the mice, and some adorable music notes that are perfect for stamping around the cake as if someone's singing the happy birthday song. And then we also have some other fun little confetti items that you can stamp around these characters to create your fun birthday scene. We have the cute little tiny star and a tiny heart too. We also have a speech bubble and some adorable phrases that you can add into the speech bubble. And so these phrases are so much fun. I love these mini phrases. They're also fun to stamp around the mice too. And so our first one here is "Today is your day." And then we have "Blow out the candles," which is perfect for the little mouse holding the cake. We also have a mice birthday, of course, a super fun pun. We have this fun happy birthday to you that's wavy so that it's almost like they're singing it, like the voice is kind of floating through the air. And then we also have make a wish. And then we have a larger happy birthday that's the perfect sentiment on the cards. Now we're going to add some color to these fun images, and we're going to be using some Copic markers here, but you could use colored pencils or watercolors or even the new coloring stencils too, and we'll show you those in just a little bit. I love using these E30 markers for the mice. They look so super cute. And we're going to add a nice light pink onto the belly and some bright pink in the ears and nose, and then just some fun happy colors on to that party hat. And then we're going to use our same markers here to color in all the mice. So we're going to add a little bit of a dark marker and then go into medium and then blend out into light towards his face, then towards the middle of his body. You can see how cute that is. I just love it so much. We'll add some brown at the bottom for the bottom part of the cake. And then I love the icing here because you could bring in any pop of color on the icing, which is so fun. But we're going to do this really pretty light pink, which I think looks so beautiful. And then we'll bring in some turquoise for the candles, and then for the flames we're going to add some yellow and orange too. Now here, this little mouse that's holding the balloon, he just makes me smile. I think a cute and simple card with just the mouse with the balloon and a happy birthday below would be just adorable. But just like we did on the other mice, we're going to add our dark marker, our medium, and then our light. And then we're going to go in and just add some nice light pink for the belly and a brighter pink for the ears and the nose. And then we'll add some of these same colors to the confetti. So when I have the color out for the stripes on the hat, I'm going to use the same color there to color in the little confetti pieces. That way everything's going to coordinate really, really nicely. I'm going to add a little bit of light blue to the bottom of the speech bubble, and I just blended that out with a colorless blender. I feel like a little blue or gray or even a pop of pink on the bottom of those speech bubbles just make it look so beautiful. And then here we have another bright pop of color with the bright yellow on the balloon. Now these are the coloring stencils. You can see that there is a set of 2 and they're sized to the same size as the stamp set so that they're really easy to store together. They have these beautiful etched guidelines on them that make them really easy to line up with your stamped images. So I went ahead and stamped out that cute little mouse holding the cake. I'm going to line up the coloring stencil over top and then just lightly brush on some ink. Here I am using some sugar cookie ink, which is in a nice light brown, which I thought would look really pretty on this mouse. And look how beautiful that is. And then all I need to do is just work my way down the stencils to fill in the different parts of this mouse. So here we're going to take some ballet slippers, and this is going to fill in the ear and the nose. And you can see how I can just line that stencil right up and just keep working my way down. Next, I'm going to use a little bit of pink, whatever's left on my brush for the belly. And then I'm going to use that same pink onto the icing so that it kind of looks like the one that we colored with the markers. And so I'm just going to pick up a little bit more ink, and I'm going to make sure to create a heavier load of ink on the outside edges and lighter towards the center so that it has a really nice blended look on it. And I can do that with just one ink pad, which is so pretty. We're going to do some light brown at the base of the cake, and then we're going to do some purple for the candles, and then yellow and orange for the flames. And I'm just using what was left on my brushes for these. I have one brush for each color. I have a yellow brush, a purple brush, a pink brush, and so I could just use what's left on them like that just to add a little bit of color to those little tiny areas. Now here are the coordinating dies. You're going to take these dies and you're going to line them up with your stamped image. You're going to hold it in place with some low-tack tape, and then we'll run it through the die cut machine and we'll have perfectly cut out images every time. And then here are all of the images in the set. These little mice are just adorable, and I love that the dies cut out the confetti pieces individually so that you can sprinkle them around your cards. And the little music notes are just adorable around the cake. Here I have my helper Miles, and he's going to show how that little mouse there can hold on to the confetti pieces, or he can kind of be juggling them in the air, which is just adorable. They're also really fun for just adding little extra details on your cards, and we'll do that in just a little bit. And I think it's just so much fun to play around with these images and decide what kind of cards you're going to make, just like Miles is doing here. And so speaking of cards, we're going to work on a card here, and we're going to be die cutting this cute little cloud from Spring Showers, and we're going to die cut that out of some white cardstock. And then for the base of this card, we are going to be using one of these outside in scalloped rectangles. I love these so much because it has the pretty stitch detail and the scallop that just looks so pretty. And so we're going to die cut that out of some spiffy speckles cardstock, and then also out of some algae cardstock. And the algae piece is going to be our grass. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim off about an inch or so at the bottom there, and that's going to be our grass piece. And this card here is a really simple card. It's nice and easy to mass produce. So if you wanted to make a bunch of birthday cards, this would be the perfect way to do it. So now that we've trimmed down that piece, we can go ahead and start layering these different pieces on. So we're going to add some tape runner behind this grass piece and then just layer it over the scalloped rectangle. And of course, because we have that whole other piece of the scalloped rectangle for the grass, you could cut a grass end off the other side and again make a bunch of cards at once, which I love. Then here we have the images that we colored and stamped and die cut earlier, and we're going to start layering these onto the card. But the first thing we need to do is stamp a phrase in there, and Miles helped me pick out blow out the candles, which is so perfect for the cake. And so we're going to be stamping that right into the speech bubble. Then we're going to add some foam squares on the back of these images to give them a nice pop, and we're going to layer them on. So here we've got the cute little guy walking in the grass with his cake, and then we're going to add our speech bubble right on top of him. And then we're going to take our cloud and our cute little balloon mouse here. For the cloud, I'm going to add some tape runner to the back so that it's flat in the background, but our little balloon mouse is going to be popped up, and Miles is going to help us place that perfectly onto the card. And this is looking so super cute. Now next up, I decided to take out some of our favorite flannel fall paper. This is such a pretty paper, and it's great for fall, but I think it's also great for year-round too, and it matches so nicely with that yellow balloon. So while Miles helps me add some foam squares to the back of this piece, we're going to go ahead and stamp out that happy birthday phrase that's in the Birthday Mice stamp set, and then I'm going to die cut that with a sentiment banner die here. So I found one that's the perfect size for it, and so we can line that up and hold it in place with some low-tack tape, and then we can run that through the die cut machine. And there you can see that Miles made sure that we had plenty of foam on the back of this piece so that it's going to layer on there really nicely. And then so we're going to take that whole piece and layer that on to our pattern paper. And then we'll take some tape runner on the back of that banner die that says happy birthday, and we're going to layer that into the grass. And look how cute this card is. It's so much fun. It's quick and easy to make, and it would just make someone smile on their birthday. I think it's so adorable. This is our finished card, and here you can see we have another one. Since we had that other green piece, I thought I'm going to use that grass piece and create another card. And so these are just so much fun to create, and I love these birthday mice so much. So now that we've created this super cute card, I thought it would be fun to create a really awesome stenciled background. And we are recreating a card by Megan, so thank you so much, Megan. Now here I have the largest of the outside in stitched rectangles, and I'm going to trim down a piece of white paper that's going to fit in between those stitch lines. So I'm just taking my ruler here and measuring them, and so it's going to be about 3 3/4 by 5, and that's going to be the perfect piece to layer on to this stitched rectangle. And yes, that is a very old ruler that I love so much that I got when I used to do mathlete competitions. So, and I've had it all these years. It's the best ruler. Okay, so now we're trimming down this piece to 5 3/4, and we are going to be using our balloon background stencils on this. And this is a multi-step stencil that creates the most beautiful backgrounds. And I just love the colors that Megan used in her card. So this is step 1, and they all have an etched number in the upper right-hand corner so you know how to move along in the different steps. And we're going to be starting off with some forget-me-not ink. And you'll see that I'm going to brush on the ink onto the stencil, and I'm going to make sure with the balloons that they're a little bit darker to one end and then a little bit lighter towards the other so that it really gives them that fun kind of dimension onto the balloons, and then also gives it the feel of that translucent balloon look by having a little bit lighter towards the edges. And I think this just looks so beautiful. So once we have those all inked up, we can go ahead and lift up that stencil, and then we'll move on to stencil number 2. And they have these etched guidelines that make it really easy to line up. So we can line up the etched guidelines with the balloons that we already stenciled, and that'll put stencil number 2 in perfect placement. Then we're going to go ahead and take our sunflower ink here, and we're going to ink up these balloons. Again, doing the same thing like we did before, having a little bit darker to one edge and a little bit lighter towards the other. And so here I'm just going to kind of alternate around which one's lighter and which one's darker to give it that really pretty translucent balloon look. And then of course Miles wanted to come in and help me, and so he's going to help me fill in that last balloon there at the bottom. And then always my favorite part is to peel up the stencil, and it's looking so pretty. So now we're going to move on to stencil number 3, again using the etched guidelines that are on the stencil to line it up with the sets of balloons that I've already inked up. And then for this last one, we're going to be using some grape soda ink, which is just the prettiest purple color. And just like we did before, we're going to add the ink a little bit heavier to one side and lighter towards the other to give it that fun translucent balloon look. Then we can peel up the stencil and look at these balloons. Isn't that so pretty? Now my favorite part of the stencil is step number 4, and that's the background. So you're going to layer that right over top, and it's going to fill in the background of the balloons and also give you the strings for the balloons too. And for the background here, I'm going to use some Distress Oxide ink. I'm going to use some Tumble Glass. It was just the perfect blue for the background. And so I love that you can mix and match your inks. We're going to use some Lawn Fawn inks, some Distress inks. They look perfect together. So here we're going to go ahead and fill in this whole background with the tumbled glass and just create this beautiful bright blue. Then once we have this whole area filled in, we're going to be doing some splattering, and we're going to leave the stencil in place to protect the balloons because we only want the splatters to be in the background. And what's kind of cool is on the stencil that I had used earlier with the forget-me-not ink, there was a bunch of ink left on the stencil. I thought, I'm going to use this. So I'm just going to spray some water on that, mix it up with a paintbrush, and this is going to create the perfect paint here for me to splatter onto the background. So I'm just going to pick it up with my paintbrush and then tap the paintbrush to create the splatters. And so that's a really fun way to use that extra ink that's left over on your stencil to give some really pretty texture to the background. And you can see that Miles has come in to help me do the tapping. It's always so much fun to create the splatters. And so we're going to do a bunch of splatters in the background, and it's going to look absolutely beautiful. And now for the big reveal, we're going to lift up this whole stencil here and look at this background. Isn't it so pretty? Oh my gosh, I just love it. Like you can almost see the balloons floating up. It's just so beautiful. And I'm so grateful to have Miles as my helper here because he's going to help me clean my whole grid mat here. And then we're going to go ahead and just use a towel and just clean that right up. So now that we have our cute little balloons, I went ahead and die cut that largest outside in stitch rectangle that we kind of looked at earlier when I was measuring in between there. And I die cut that out of some white cardstock to create a really thin frame around it and a little stitch detail. Megan does this a lot on her cards, and I think it's such a pretty, pretty look. And so here you can see how beautiful that is. Oh my gosh, I just love it. And then we're going to start working on the rest of our background here. And so we need a ground for our mice to stand on. And I wanted to have a ground that matched my balloons perfectly. So I'm just going to trim out a little piece here that's 3/4 of an inch high. And I'm going to use that same sunflower ink that we used on the balloons. I'm going to use that over this little piece here. And so now I'm going to have a ground that matches perfectly. And then we can go ahead and layer that there on the bottom of the card. And then I'm going to bring in some more mice that I stamped and colored and die cut, and we're going to start layering them onto the card. And for these first 2 mice, instead of using foam squares, I'm going to be using some tape runner because I want them to really feel like they're part of this stenciled background here. So I'm going to add some tape runner to the back of these, and this guy is going to be standing on top of one of the balloons. Isn't that so cute? And then this other one there is floating on his own balloon in front of them. I just think it just looks so adorable. And then for the little one with the cake, I'm going to add some foam squares to the back of him and then layer him right on to the ground, which I think, oh my gosh, it's just so cute. This card just makes me smile. So now I wanted to take all those cute little confetti pieces we had, the music notes, the stars, the little confetti pieces that you can die cut, and we're going to add these onto the background. And so I'm going to add little drops of glue, and then I'm going to use my pick up pokey tool to just pick up these little ones and layer them around as if confetti is falling from the sky. So they're going to be in the background, over the balloons, etc., and looking so, so cute. Here I have some Gleeful Gradients paper, and it has this really pretty white paper with multicolored stars on it, and I thought that would be the perfect paper to create a custom colored banner. And so I'm using the same grape soda ink that we used on the balloons, just like we did with the floor with the sunflower ink, and I'm just layering that over these stars, and so it's going to have this really pretty star background, but I'm able to create my own color by inking over the pattern paper. And then I'm going to die cut that with this wavy stitched banner die, and you can see how cute that is going to look on the card. So next we're going to do some heat embossing here. So we are going to ink up that wavy happy birthday to you with some clear embossing ink, and then we can go ahead and sprinkle on some white heat embossing powder. We can tap off any of the extra and then heat it up with the heat tool until we have a nice bright white shiny sentiment. Then I'm going to bring in a piece of Blue Jay cardstock, and this is cut to standard size, 5.5 by 4.25, and I'm just going to add some tape runner to the back of this whole stenciled panel, and we're going to layer that, and I love the look of that blue frame. It really makes the blue balloons pop. So now that we've layered that piece, we can now take this banner and add that on because I want it to go all the way to the edge of the card. So I'm just going to use my scissors to just snip off any of the extra, and then I'm going to add some foam squares to the back of the banner with Miles's help here, and then I'm just going to layer that kind of going over this balloon. I think it's a really, really cute look. It's just adorable, and because we use the same ink as the balloons, it just matches perfectly. And then I had some extra little confetti pieces, so I decided to add a cute little star right there next to the happy birthday phrase, and then we're going to add another music note into the balloon too, so that there's some confetti over on that left side. And then we're going to take that happy birthday sentiment there. We're going to be stamping that on this blue grid paper that comes from our pint-sized pattern 6x6 pad. It's such a pretty grid, and I just love the little pattern on there. And the blue's going to look so nice with the blue balloons. And so just like we did before, we're going to stamp in some clear embossing ink, and then we're going to sprinkle on some white heat embossing powder. And then we're going to heat that up with the heat tool, and we'll have that nice bright white shiny sentiment. And then we're going to take a sentiment banner die, and we're just going to line that up with the happy birthday there, and we're going to line it up with the H there because we're going to be trimming off the other end of that. Then we'll run it through the die cut machine, and then we can go ahead and just trim off any of the extra there. And then with some tape runner, we're going to add that onto the card at the bottom there, which I think is looking so, so cute. Then the last thing we're going to do here is just add, of course, one more cute little confetti. I had some extras. If you have extras, you got to add them. And Miles is going to use the pick up pokey tool to layer that right on top of the glue so that we can add another cute star onto this card. Then here I have a standard size card base that's 5.5 by 4.25. We're going to add some tape runner to that, and then we can layer this whole panel on top. And this card is so cute. The birthday mice are just adorable, and that balloon background just feels so special. I adore this card so much. It turned out so adorable, and I just love these birthday mice so much. Next up, we have some incredible cards by the design team. And first up, we have this super cute card by Grace. It is absolutely adorable. I love the little mouse with the confetti and the fun rainbow feel to it. It just makes me smile, especially with those die cut wish big letters. Next up, we have a super cute card by Audrey, and she created the most beautiful background. I love the balloons and then the Let's Celebrate. It's so much fun. This card by Lynette is so fun. I love that she used that backdrop. It's the perfect frame for these adorable birthday mice. And then this card here by Maureen is so much fun. I love the color combo that she used and how she brought in the Cake It Easy stamp set to this. It's such a cute idea. I love the little mouse adding the cake to the top. And then here is the card by Megan that inspired us to make ours today. It is just so adorable. And then this card by Elise is so much fun. I love the cute plaid paper in the background and her die cut happy birthday. And then here, this card by Melissa is just adorable. I love the color palette that she used. It's just so much fun. So we are so excited about this birthday mice stamp set and partnering with our amazing independent brick and mortar stores. So we can't wait to see what you create with this set. So make sure to share it with us and all of those awesome stores too. And thank you so much for watching today. I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye.